Hi there, my name is Benson, and right now I'm going to show you how to put together a skateboard. So when you start putting together a board, you're going to want to make sure you've got all your parts, wheels, hardware, riser pads, bearings, a sheet of grip tape, you've got trucks, don't forget your board, and then the tools that you'll need are just some type of skate tool and a razor blade. And when you're using the razor blade, just use a little bit of caution, make sure you're safe with that tool because it's really sharp. So let's get right into it. The first thing you're going to do is grip your board. So all boards come with this plastic covering. What you're going to want to do is just take that off. So just go ahead and rip that off. You can throw that away. The best way to put on grip tape that I like is to start from the middle, kind of center the grip tape, and start at the middle and then go to the outsides, push it down. So what you're going to want to do is take off this paper backing. Go ahead and do that right now. And save that paper backing because I'll show you why you'll need it in a bit. So all you're doing is making sure that this square sheet of grip tape fits over this oval skate deck. So as long as you line it up, what I like to do is use my fingertips to find the tail and the nose, center it, just make sure everything's covered, and you'll see the middle of the grip tape touch the board, and then it's kind of centered, and I just lay out the rest. So once that's on top, all I'm going to do is push from the center and push out. So I'm doing that right there. Go both ways. Make sure all those air bubbles are pushed out. And what you can do with the piece of paper that came from the back of the grip tape is take it, put it on top. Because the grip tape was, obviously really gritty and rough, you don't want to do this without the paper. You can just go ahead and push down the grip tape to make sure everything is nice and pressed out. Remove that. Make sure there's no air bubbles. It doesn't look like there is. So we're done with the sheet of paper. The next thing you're going to do is file the edges of the board. What this does is it creates an outline for you to cut. So this tool has a nice little rough section, kind of like a file, that I'll use to make an outline. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. What you can see is the actual outline of the board. So just make sure you do that around the whole board. All right. So now that you have the outline of the board, you're going to take your razor blade, and from underneath, you're going to cut the grip tape and pull the razor blade all the way around. So from the underside, just put that razor blade through. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a razor blade that's popped through, and I'm just going to pull it all the way around. And while I'm pulling the razor blade, I'm also going to be putting pressure on it towards the board, so you'll get the closest cut possible. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling. At the same time that I'm pulling, I'm also pushing the blade a little bit towards the board. Again, please use the utmost safety and caution when you are using sharp razor blades. So just go around the whole board. Once you're done, pull that grip tape off, and your board is now gripped. Some people like to use the extra grip tape to sand the sides on the edges of the board. What this does is it creates, it just makes it harder for the grip tape to peel off. So you can sand either the nose, the tail, go along the edges, Some people like to do it, some people don't, kind of your preference. So once your board has been gripped, the next thing that you're going to want to do is you can either put the wheels and bearings onto the trucks, or you can put the trucks onto the board and do the wheels and bearings after that. So right now what I'm going to do is put the trucks onto the board. So you can take any type of small screwdriver and you're just going to poke through the bottom of the board through the mounting holes. This way you can put the hardware through the top of the board and put the trucks on. When you're putting on the trucks, the only thing that you need to remember is that the kingpin needs to be facing the inside of the board. So if you were to put the trucks on like this, it just wouldn't work. You would turn and you would lean to the left and your board would turn to the right. So when you're putting on trucks, just remember, kingpin goes on the inside. This part, this yellow part, the hanger, that faces out. So once all these are put on, there's just 4 pieces of hardware that for each truck. So you've got 4 nuts and bolts for one truck and 4 for the other. So what I'm going to do is take just a trusty screwdriver and my skate tool and just tighten up the hardware. When you're putting on the hardware, you want to make sure that the top of the bolt doesn't go through. You want to make sure it's flush with the top of the deck. If you tighten it too much, the actual head of the bolt is going to go in too far and it could split the deck and create what's called a pressure crack. And those will be small cracks that you'll see come off from the mounting holes. So just make sure you don't over tighten your bolts when you're putting on the hardware. So let me do the last one. Just give the other ones a little tighten down. So you've got one truck on. I'm going to go ahead and do the other one. Okay, so now that you have both of your trucks on your board, again, making sure that the kingpins face in, the hangers face out, so when you turn, or when you lean to the left, you turn to the left. The next thing you're going to want to do is put your bearings into your wheels. What you can do is take your trucks, you can actually use the trucks to install the bearings. What I'm going to do is take one bearing. Most trucks come with these little speed washers. They're just tiny little washers. You're going to want one on each side of the wheel. What you can do is take your bearing, put it on your truck axle. Take another bearing, put it on your truck axle. Take your wheel and just push straight down. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to push straight down, lift up, and my bearing is in the wheel. So now I'm flipping it around. Same thing, just push straight down. Then just give it another good push on either side. And I've just successfully put in bearings into a wheel using nothing other than the axle. This is also a good technique if you want to remove the bearings. What you can do is, you're not going to put the wheel in all the way, because what you're going to want to do is twist the wheel. You're going to want to put the bearing about just to the top of the axle and then twist. What I just did is the bearing will stay on the axle and pop out of the wheel. So I've just taken the bearing out of the wheel. So if you ever want to switch out your bearings or you want to clean them, that's a good technique to do that. So let me put that back on. And just go, oh, sorry, don't forget, speed washer on either side. Put that on the axle, give that a little tighten. Tighten it down. What I like to do is tighten the bearings until they just barely pinch the wheels so it doesn't spin. What this does is it kind of compresses the bearings inside the wheels to give it a nice flush fit, and then I just loosen it up a little bit so those bearings spin nice and smooth. So go ahead and do that for the other wheels, and then pretty much your board's put together.